Hi, Roger.
Hello.
You have been with the CIA, is that right?
At one time, yeah.
Yeah, how long?
9 years.
9 years. People say once CIA, always CIA, so they believe you couldn't say what you say if you were, or you have been with the CIA. How can you say these things about what the CIA doesn't want people to know?
Well, of course, I don't tell a lot of things that I know, and I never will. You know, I still keep an oath of security up to a point. But when it came to UFOs, I said somebody has to speak out, you know, and it wasn't directed towards the CIA. It was directed towards the U.S. government and world government. Mm-hmm. And that's when I, in 1980, broke security.
You quit before that? What happened? Why did you quit, or why did you? What happened at the CIA that you said that has to go out?
I had enough. I was 3 times in Vietnam, and of course I was associated also with them in Vietnam. And I just saw the futile futures of the whole thing, and I said, you know, I've had enough of this. Mm-hmm. You know. I had already been in wars, beginning with the Second World War, the Korean War, Civil War in China, 3 revolutions, 3 times in Vietnam, mm-hmm. and, you know, on and on and on.
Was
and
enough.
It was enough, right. And so I wanted out. And,
but you didn't see UFOs in Vietnam or something, or did you?
Not in Vietnam, no, but I was in on the capture of the second UFO in the United States in 1948. The most famous capture, though, of course, was Roswell. And that was a Roswell incident. And that was in 1947, the year before I was involved. And then the second crash is what they call the White Sands, New Mexico crash. And mm-hmm. that was very highly classified and still is today.
You were involved? Like you were on the...
No, just on the White Sands one. I was in on it. But I know a lot about, of course, about the Roswell thing, what happened there and so forth.
You had files from it or something?
Yes, mm-hmm. right. And, of course, I was always in intelligence and what they call G2 or CIA or... Mm-hmm. Because of my intelligence background, beginning with the Second World War, I was stereotyped. And so, consequently, all my assignments, for the most part, had to do with intelligence.
Sure.
Which was my main thrust. But... I didn't really get involved, deeply involved, in UFOs of a personal nature until after I retired. And it was that time I began to investigate ETs and UFOs in great depth. I had just come from the CIA, and I was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And then I was placed on temporary duty with the intelligence of then the Army Air Corps. Mm-hmm. And which later very quickly became the Air Force as we know it today. Mm-hmm. But it was during that time that I received what we call fax today. It was a Twix. Came across my desk, and of course I was G2 Air. Now G2 Air has to do with all intelligence having to do with strange things in the air, you know.
Phenomena,
yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And what happened was the commanding general sent me a Twix that he had received from 3rd Army headquarters, stating that a UFO had crashed at White Sands, New Mexico, and was presently under observation. Mm-hmm. And the observation was to determine whether they had friendly intents or they were hostile, if there was any occupants aboard, you know, and were they men and women or all male or whatever. So a lot of questions were being asked. And through a cordon of security around it, and they kept it under surveillance for a little over 24 hours. And nothing happened. And so then they began to probe the exterior of the craft, trying to find an access into it. Mm-hmm. And as luck would have it, or phenomena, or God, or the ETs, or whoever, you know, they hit a button from the outside, an emergency button. Down came a door from inside of the craft itself with steps, and of course now we had entry to the ship itself. There were 5 bodies aboard, all of them dead.
Dead bodies?
Yeah, they had asphyxiated. What had happened, ostensibly, they had blown a portal. And so they suffocated, mm-hmm. you know, due to a lack of support system.
What did they look like?
Little guys, 3.5 feet.
Is it like the small cries people talk about?
They weren't like the Zeta reticuli grays. No, their eyes were different. The Zeta reticuli grays have almost insectoid eyes, you know. These little guys had nice eyes. They were kind eyes. The 5 occupants, one of them was just under 4 feet, and he obviously was a commander because he had epaulets on his uniform. And one of the smaller ones, the 3.5 feet, also had epaulets, so he was obviously the assistant commander. The rest of them were dressed in very tight-fitting silver uniforms. And so now, characteristically, in other words, the physiognomy, they had no hair anywhere on the body. Huge eyes, an outsized head with the body, no ears, because the ears had atrophied. The nose had atrophied. The mouth was immobile, and so it wasn't like our mobile mouth, you know. So obviously they communicated with telepathy, and so the bodies were taken off of the craft, and they were flown back to Wright-Patterson for examination. And
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yeah,
That's
right, in Ohio. And of course, they had very great difficulty getting the uniforms off them. They couldn't cut it. They tried scissors.
It's not like
it was a material that we didn't know. Nothing like here on the globe, I should say. But they couldn't cut it with scissors, and yet it was thinner than a newspaper page.
Amazing.
It is. So finally they had to resort to metal shears to cut it, and they finally got the uniforms off of them, and then of course they examined the bodies. They were all male. They had male organs, genitals and what have you, but again, like the ears and the nose, it had atrophied due to non-use, you know. They were no longer sexual and didn't need the ears to hear and all that, so they were different from us, but they were nice little guys, really.
Did they find out where they came from?
They did, but I never learned. It never was reported, of course, in the Twix. But I do know they were good at that time. And my personal opinion about that whole thing was in the first attempt to tell us that they were here, which was a Roswell incident, that Roswell crash was caused by radar.
Yeah.
And
brought the ship down.
Yeah, well, they
wasn't prepared for the
wasn't prepared for the new radar, and they couldn't read, for instance, their altimeter because they impacted with the ground and scattered over about 10 acres, you know. Out of that, of course, the Roswell incident, we got one live body. And
that was earlier than White
that was
Sands.
1947,
Yes.
right? And 1948 is the crash that I was in on.
Is the same kind of ETs like that in White Sands?
They were the same, right?
So Roswell were not the Greys.
No, they were not the Greys.
So you say that were nice. You call them nice.
I call them nice, benevolent, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah. And
in Roswell they found one alive.
Yeah. Now, what's not known about the Roswell crash, there were 3 crashes, really. And so one of them was later nicknamed Aztecs. The 2 of them was Aztecs crash, and of course we had the Roswell crash, and then the following year we had the White Sands, New Mexico crash. Now, White Sands is where the United States exploded the first atomic bomb, so you know how secure it is and sensitive. And so the government would never acknowledge, even to the military, that a ship had crashed there. Now, the ship was intact. It was not hurt other than a blown portal. It was 100 foot in diameter, and of course I told you about the occupants, the bodies, and it was very sophisticated. In those days, we didn't understand it, really.
Today they are...
Oh, today we understand everything, sure.
Yes?
Yeah. In my book,
just from with this aliens, or are there different
well,
visits?
from different captures, I would judge that the United States alone probably has around 100 captures.
Is this Area 51, is that real?
Well, Area 51 was the harbor of the Zeta Reticuli Grays.
It's not anymore.
No, they've left, and but there's still a harboring of UFOs there, yes.